Sales are easy. It's making the call that's hard. Hi, my name is Dave Gallegos. I've spent the last 25 years in the mortgage industry and a lifetime in sales. In this show, I'll bring that experience, expertise, and the experts I've met to you with actionable advice to improve your sales. It's not magic. You just make the call. Hi, everyone. This is Dave Gallegos. This is Make the Call. This is episode number 18 of Make the Call. So pretty cool. We're getting close to 20. I'm excited. Most podcasts don't even come close. I promise I will follow through. So this is a podcast for mortgage professionals primarily, but certainly real estate professionals and really all sales professionals can certainly benefit from it. So the last two episodes, I've shared the top 5 and then the next 5. So the top 10 things that a loan officer controls in their business. And, we talked about the top 10 things that you do have control over that. The first 5, I think, represent hustle and effort. And the second 5 are your commitment as a professional to your development as a professional. Today, I wanted to share the things I know a loan officer doesn't have any control over in their business. But what I have found, and the reason they make this list is because loan officers spend an awful lot of time worrying about these things and they have no control over them. So the first one is, of course, the number one. What do you think number one is, right? Pretty simple. The first one is interest rates. And I see this all the time from really talented people just focused on what rates are going to do. When are rates going to come down? When am I going to refinance all these people in my database? And they just kind of sit back and hope and wait and pray that interest rates are going to be better. They try to predict it. These might even be the kind of people that maybe they play the market a little bit for themselves. They'll tell a customer they're locking them in, but they'll float the rate, hoping the market's going to get a little bit better, and which is a ridiculous strategy. In my opinion, I've been doing this for 27 years. In my opinion, it's a giant mistake. If you're one of those loan officers, you're wasting so much time trying to pick off an extra bip or two. It's crazy. And you can be wrong so easily. So interest rates, the first thing you have no control over. The second thing is the housing markets. You don't control whether it's a hot housing market, whether it's a buyer's market or a seller's market. You just don't have any control over that. And spending time thinking about it and talking about it is a waste. You do not control the number of leads that you get in a week or a month. That's a fact. And I will argue this till the day I go home, till the day I die. You control how much activity you put into lead generation activities, but you're never going to be able to go like, I'm going to get 10 leads this week and I am in control of that. It's just not going to happen. You might get 9, you might get 11, you might get 5, you might get 15, but you're not in control of the number. You are also not in control of the number of loans that you are going to lock and or close in a week or a month. You're not in control of that. And I think this is one of the things that I've noticed in the industry since I've been in it, is that too many loan officers, real estate professionals as well, are too focused on the short term. I've always said that as a mortgage lender, you're working 60 to 90 days out, right? Like I'm recording this, it's June 27th. It's not a good example, but if it's June 15th, let's say, and you don't have any closings for June, you're not getting any closings for June. You might pull one off, but it's crazy to try to focus on a June closing. What you should be focusing on June 15th is July and August closings and September closings. It's filling up your pipeline with pre-approved shoppers that are going to be able to go out and buy a house. You're always working out in the future. So you don't control the number of loans you're going to lock in a week or a month, and you don't control how many loans you're going to close in a week or a month. You just don't. You control the effort that goes into getting as much of that as you can. But where I see it's a problem for people is they get focused on the short term and they don't focus on the long term. You don't control when a pre-approved buyer is going to go under contract. You just don't. You don't know when they're going to find the house. I've worked with real estate agents over the years that don't care if the buyer buys the perfect house. They just care that the buyer buys a house and they get their commission check and move on. I did not stay partnered with real estate agents like that very long. And if that's the kind of real estate agent you are, you're bad for the industry. You're bad for the consumer. And nobody at Zenith wants to work with you. I can tell you that. You got to be looking out for what's best for your client. And there's plenty of real estate agents that are. So the people who think that way are not going to be long for the business. But as a loan officer, your concern should be making sure the client gets the best home for them and the right home for them, and that they're partnered with real estate agents that are more interested in getting them into the right home than just getting them into a home. But you don't have any control over when those buyers that are pre-approved actually go under contract and when they're going to close. You don't control how many contracts are going to fall out or move to another month, or, for delays that are going to change the way. So if I've always told loan officers that are working here, if you want to close 5 loans a month, you better lock at least 6. You better have at least 6 in the pipeline that are going to close, because one of them is going to fall out for a number of reasons. They're going to fall out for, inspection issues. So the buyer's going to cancel the contract, or an appraisal issue. The house doesn't appraise. The buyer can't make up the difference and they lose the contract, or just delays in the process that, not any of your fault, but third party delays that you don't have any control over, that pushes a closing from 1 month to the next. And that's what I've mentioned in the past. I think it was on the last podcast. I mentioned that it's harder to close 0, 1, or 2 loans a month than it is to close 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 loans a month. And the reason it's so much harder is because if you're only closing 2 loans in a month and one of them falls out, your income just got cut in half. If you're closing 6 loans a month and one of them falls out, you're still going to lose out, but you're not going to have your income get cut in half, right? It's not even going to barely impact you. So that's why it's another reason why I think it's harder to close 0, 1, or 2, and you don't have any control over that. So that's why if you want to close 5, you better have 6 in the pipe. You don't control the appraised value of a property or the condition that the property's in. That is not on you as a loan officer. It's also not on you as a real estate agent. You control whether or not your buyer made an offer on that house, but you don't control, I guess you don't control it, but you certainly have influence over it. And if the house doesn't appraise for the value that you need, that's not the loan officer's issue. It's the value is the value. And we can talk all about the nuances of appraisers, but the value and the condition of a property is really nothing you have any control over or anything that you should be concerned with. If the property's condition isn't good enough to pass the home inspection, that's not your problem. That's, the buyer, the seller, the agents, that's their issue. That's not your issue as the lender. So, because the buyer's got to get a good property. So you don't control that, which means, again, you don't control if the fire is if it's going to fall out. You don't control, this is an important one. This is a big one for loan officers. You do not control the borrower's ability to qualify for the loan they want or that they'd like to get. You control your skills at qualifying borrowers. So let me qualify that thing you don't control. The borrower's ability to qualify is not your responsibility. Your skill at qualifying borrowers is your responsibility. What I mean to say is, if somebody doesn't qualify for a loan, it's a pretty black and white thing. It's like they make exactly what they make. Your job as a loan officer is to be able to qualify them, maximizing the income that they can qualify for. That's your job. That's by accurately and correctly qualifying their income and counting their income. But they make what they make. That's not your job. That's not your responsibility. Far too often in my career now, 27 years and 23 of them managing loan officers, I guess 24 managing loan officers, I've seen far too many loan officers waste time on trying to approve somebody who can't get approved, but they don't have any leads. They don't have enough leads to work on. So they keep working on this lead, trying to, pound a square peg into a round hole, or I'm not sure exactly what you'd call it. I've had this conversation with loan officers before where I'm asking them about one of the leads they're working on. And they're like, well, I'm working on their income is one of the things that they'll tell me. And I was like, what does that mean? You're working on their income? It's like, well, I'm trying to see if I can get them any more income. And my response as I go, they make what they make. How much do they make? Just tell me the number. And if you're not sure if you've calculated it correctly, that's what scenarios and TBD underwrites are for. You put a scenario in front of an underwriter, you get your underwriter on the phone. By the way, loan officers, if you don't develop good, strong working relationships with your underwriters, you're a fool. Develop a relationship with the underwriter so that you can have those conversations and make sure that if you're doing something that's a little funky. I'm not saying everything is not funky. Everything can be a little funky, but not everything. Some things can be really funky when it comes to calculating someone's income. But they make what they make. This shouldn't be a long, drawn out, multi-day process, right? You get 100% of the documentation up front and you should know the number. It's not that complicated. And if you struggle calculating income, do something about it. It's a skill. It isn't that complicated. Self-employed borrower income qualifying is not that hard, all right? There's only a few documents that you need in a self-employed borrower's income calculation. And if you don't know how to do that efficiently, then that's your problem. You haven't gained the skill that you should have to be able, you're here to qualify a borrower. And if you miscalculate somebody's income and they don't qualify because you said they make less than they really do make and they could have qualified for more, well, then that's your responsibility as well. But the borrower's ability to qualify, assuming you know what you're doing as a loan officer, is not your responsibility. It's theirs, right? They make what they make. And if they can't get a loan officers I've seen spend far too much time working on loans that aren't loans. If the answer is no, if I can't get a borrower a loan today, I don't say, nope, can't help you and hang up. Like those people are in my CRB, my customer relationship builder. And I'm going to give those people the plan that they need so that they can get a loan in the future. And I'm going to be the one that helps them do it because I don't get paid to say no. I get paid if they close, but I don't get paid if they never get a loan from me. And if they raise their hand and they want to buy a house and they're willing to do the work I give them to do, then they're going to get a loan from me and it's going to be awesome. And they're going to be a lifetime client because I'm the one that helped them to do that. But I'm not in charge of their ability to qualify. I'm in charge of my ability to qualify them. And that's the big difference. And then number 9 is I'm not in control of the unforeseen issues that can come up during the process of somebody getting a house, especially when it's caused by a third party, right? So if the listing agent or the title company or even somebody on my own team, like a processor or underwriter makes a mistake or misses something or whatever, I'm not in control of that. Right. So spending time getting all worked up about that stuff is a waste of time. And by the way, losing your cool, losing your temper, being frustrated with those people. Now, if somebody keeps making the same mistake over and over again, well, that's different. I'm talking about somebody makes a mistake, somebody missed something. It can happen. And we hate it when it happens, but people are human and no one's infallible, including every loan officer I've ever met. They're not infallible people and we all make mistakes. Your job is to solve problems and solutions and come up with creative solutions and profitable solutions to problems that come up. So those are the 9 things that I think a loan officer doesn't have any control over. I tried to get this list up to 10 things, but I couldn't think of anything else. Maybe what Shant had in his list of things the loan officer doesn't control is the crazies in your life. Maybe that's number 10. You have massive influence over items number 3 and 4 on this list based on your effort and your commitment to the 10 things you control, which is the number of leads you get and the number of loans you lock and close, right? You have massive influence on that. And again, it depends on your level of commitment to your skills and the amount of hustle and effort that you put into that. And you can certainly influence when a pre-approved buyer is actually able to go under contract. That's certainly in your control. Your work ethic and your service to both the client and the realtors that you do business with play a significant role here. But remember, you don't control when they find the house they want or when their offer gets accepted. You have influence over it, your ability to, make connection with the listing agent and all of that stuff. It's just not control of it. Other than those 3 items, it's a solid list of things that you don't have any control over. I think that, for the last several years, Colorado market, the market in the country has been very challenging, especially when it comes to housing availability, right? That's one of the toughest things is that when you got a buyer who's very excited to go out and buy a home, they just can't find anything. Because nothing's in their price range. Right now, I'm recording this June 27th, 2024, and the inventory is starting to actually build up a little bit. We're starting to see more inventory. Homes are sitting on the market longer. So maybe the market's starting to shift a little bit to be more of a buyer's market, which would be great. When there's low availability, that leads to prices rising very quickly, which can affect affordability. Interest rates started to go up in the late spring of 2022 and March, April, May, right in there, interest rates started to climb and a lot of originators left the mortgage business and a lot of originators have left the mortgage business since then. And I think more originators are going to leave the business. Lots of companies have merged or closed altogether. And if you worked at Cherry Creek Mortgage or Academy Mortgage, you woke up one morning and you didn't work there anymore. You worked at Guild Mortgage. And so I don't know if you're somebody who worked at Cherry Creek or Academy and you liked it, and now you work at Guild, you may not like that change. So the thing is that we've never had any control over those 9 things, right? None of us have ever had any control over those things. The fact that we've had great housing markets or great interest rate markets, we didn't do that, right? Like that was done for us. I heard a great quote. I think it was in Gary Keller's book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. The quote was, if you're going to let the market be the reason that you're doing a lot of business, then you're going to have to be willing to let the market be the reason you're not doing a lot of business. So it can't be market driven is the point. You have to be focused on your activities and the level of effort that you're putting in to deal with this. So the simple truth, I think, is this, is that you only control the inputs. You don't control the outcome as much as you'd like to, right? You influence the outcome. You control the inputs, which is the first 10 things on the last podcast and the one before that, where I listed the top 5 things and then the next 5 things. You control the inputs. You don't control the outcome. You don't control the outputs. We just don't. It's not as easy as that. It's not predictable as that. You have the influence, don't get me wrong, and you will do a lot more business if you focus on those things you control. But if you're only focused, if you're wasting time thinking about rates and markets and, borrowers and when they go under contract, all that stuff, it's a waste of time. If you control the inputs, it's the best news of all, because it means that you have the power to shape your business to be what you'd like it to be. If you're willing to put in the work and the effort, and you want to you're willing to increase your skill level and your talent, and your potential will grow, in lockstep with that, and you'll have results that will blow your mind. So it's important to remember, you don't control the outputs, you control the inputs, which is the first 10 things on the last 2 podcasts. There is one more thing that you control. This is really important. And we talk about, I didn't create this list, by the way. It came from a video I watched. It was really good. Because when things aren't going well, when you've had a bad day, or when you've had a bad week or a bad month, but you won't have a bad day, week, or month if you focus on the inputs, and if you do the work, if you control whether or not you have 10 conversations a day. You just do. It's just a question of how many dials are you willing to make. And you control how many emails you send, and you control how many tasks you complete in your CRB. You control all of those inputs on the top 10 things you control. So you're not going to have a bad day if you do all the work. You may not have the results, but you don't have a bad day. There's one more thing that you control. So there's 11 things, not 10. And at Zenith, we call it your ACE. ACE, the word ACE, ACE. ACE is, A stands for attitude, C stands for commitment, and E stands for effort. Regardless of what's happening, we all control how we react, how we treat other people, the commitment that we have to the work that we do, and the effort that we make every single day. And that's it. The attitude is the most important. We all know that attitude is the most important thing, and the effort that we make every single day. And really, that's all you've ever needed to be successful in this business or in any other business, is you control those 3 things: your attitude, your commitment, and your effort. Right? So remember that. The next time you're having a bad day, like, just snap out of it and look at yourself in the mirror and go write that down somewhere. I control my ACE, A period, C period, E period, attitude, commitment, effort. It makes all the difference. It was a great video. I can't recall exactly where I saw it. It had something to do with the University of Massachusetts hockey team used it. And I know, sure, he got it somewhere. Here's my quote of the week. This is from the great one and only Pele, the soccer star. If you don't know who Pele was, look him up. Success is no accident. It is hard work. It's perseverance. It's learning, studying, sacrifice, and most of all, it's love of what you are doing, or what you are learning to do. Isn't that true? I'm going to read it again. Success is not an accident. It's hard work. It's perseverance. It's learning. It's studying. It's sacrifice. Most of all, it's love of what you're doing and learning to do. So that's it for Make the Call, episode number 18. It's the top 9, or that's the 9 things you don't control, not the top 10 things. This has been a series that if you didn't listen to episode 16 or 17, maybe 15, go back to 15, because that's when I first introduced these ideas. Thanks for listening, everybody. Make the Call. I'm Dave Gallegos. Please give me a rating if you haven't done that. Please share this podcast with your friends and other professionals that you know could benefit from this information, regardless of the industry that they're in. Thanks, everybody. Have an awesome day.
Thank you for listening to Make the Call with Dave Gallegos, brought to you by Zenith Home Loans. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to the show anywhere you listen to podcasts, and share the show with a friend or colleague who would also find value.